everybody. Thank you so much for showing up today. It is so lovely to see all of your lovely smiling faces on, at least here on beautiful Cape Cod, a sunny Friday at noontime. I'm not sure where it is in your time zone and how the weather is, but good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Lisa Parento. I am a realtor, broker associate, team leader here on beautiful Cape Cod, serial volunteer, most importantly, Glamma to Eloise Ann, who my husband just luckily just took out for lunch, which was nice. And baby Hazel and another baby that's due in June, baby Navy Grace. So that's my most important and my most exciting role. Curious to why some folks, if you'd like to turn on your camera, that would be great. We would love to see you. I am so excited this morning or this afternoon, to share with you some of the brilliance and just really high energy in our luxury space that Janie Coffey, today's guest, is going to be bringing to us. I shifted the title of our mastermind called To Lifting Others as We Rise, which is also the title of my podcast. And so, pretty excited about that and continuing to shift in that way. But one of the first things that, when I ask my team and other agents, hey, how can I be helpful today? They go, we need more listings. So I was thinking, oh, I know who could really help us in that way with an amazing program, attitude, years of experience. And that is my friend, Janie. Now, Janie, I've known for a few years. We are together at the same brokerage. And Janie, I am forever grateful for because she continues to put in the hard, hard work to help our luxury division at EXP be what it is today. Janie was one of the founding members of the Luxury Advisory Council. And as such, she has continued to help develop content and to add her important voice as we continue to grow the division. I know she joined EXP Realty in 2021. And again, she currently still co-chairs and actively trains agents in luxury in EXP. But before EXP, she was the executive vice president at Sotheby's, where she has also been coaching and training agents. She's an EXP icon agent. She was named one of the top 100 most influential people in real estate, which is kind of fabulous. I didn't even know that. I'd love to hear more about that at some point. Top 10 solo agents in Florida in their MLS, and also sold the highest listing ever so far on record in St. Augustine, Florida, which is where she currently is a realtor. So without any further ado, I know that Janie has some amazing content for us. Janie has courses developed like this, and I'm hoping she'll give us a little inside peek into some of those courses as we go forward. But now I just said, help us. We need some help. And she said, how about some luxury expires? And I was like, that will be fabulous. So, Janie, let me hush up now. And then, Remar, if I could ask you to spotlight Janie, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. That was really nice. Hopefully you recorded that. I'll play it to myself as affirmations for myself. Um, I wanted to add one thing when you asked about how to help agents get listings. Um, I'm really, really strong about encouraging agents that we don't want just any listing, especially in today's market, because there are lots of listing opportunities. And as you go up in price point, more and more of them are not selling at all, right? And that can be very exhausting to us. It exhausts our mental bandwidth, it exhausts our emotions, it exhausts our goodwill, and it exhausts our finances. So I'm always encouraging people to build a big enough funnel for listings or clients, buyers, sellers, whatever, but build a big enough funnel that you feel that you have the ability to pick and choose who's going to work with you. And when you have enough opportunities and you feel that you are also interviewing the sellers as much as they're interviewing you, it completely changes the dynamic, because we are looking for motivated, realistic, and nice sellers. We want sellers that we can help them sell for whatever the highest the market will bear, but we can't create unrealistic prices that the market's not going to pay. We can't outspend, outmarket a wrong price. And that's why I say we don't want all the listings, we want the good listings. So it's kind of a little bit of irony that the training I'm doing today is about how to list and sell luxury expired listings, because we don't want you to be a luxury expired client. So I created this system, not this program, but this system, because like Lisa said, I've been in real estate for 20 years. I owned my own brokerage. I got my real estate license just as the big recession was about to land on us, and opened my own bricks and mortar brokerage like the year before the recession in Miami, which was like ground zero for tough times in 07, 08. But I did really well. I made it through, held the brokerage together as a brand new agent, learned a lot. Did become, like Lisa said, I worked, eventually joined Sotheby's about 5 years later as an agent, tripled my production when I did that from when I had been working before, worked my way up, and I was the executive vice president of Sotheby's, two different Sotheby's franchises for about 8 years total, became a founding agent at Compass, was with Compass for 3 years. And like Lisa said, I've now moved to EXP. Been here 4 years, coming up end of June will be 4 years, and the last 2.5 as the co-chair of the luxury division. But the other thing I am is also an agent. I sell and I'm a team leader. And I moved within all those 20 years. I moved to a new market 10 years ago, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a sphere. I didn't know a single person. I didn't know how to pronounce the names of the streets in the areas, but I had a really big goal to become number within the top 10 of my MLS within 3 years. That was my big, hairy, audacious goal. And I put it out to the universe everywhere I could, but I had to figure out, how can I do this? Like, how can I achieve such a big goal when I don't know anybody? I'm not a buyer's agent. Buyers are just not my thing unless they're my friends. I find them very exhausting. So I figured I've got to go after luxury, because those are higher price points. But again, I didn't want every luxury listing. I wanted motivated people. So that's why I decided to go after luxury expireds. And then that's when I kind of hit a wall, when I realized I don't want to cold call people. Like, that's just not my thing. I tried in the beginning, I tried because that's what we're told. But I just really was uncomfortable doing that. So I cobbled together bits and pieces of a bunch of past trainers, a bunch of things out there, and put together this system that ended up working really, really well. So I'm ready to share that with you. And then, like Lisa said, at the end, I will share with you a couple different ways that we can work more together if that's something of interest to you. But if not, I'm going to give you everything in the next 40 minutes or so about how to create your own system. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. And then, should you choose that you would like more help or a different level of help than just this 45 minutes, I'll tell you how you can do that as well. So,
Amazing. And just for everyone to know, we'll also have a couple of minutes for some Q&A
oh, definitely.
at the end. So I want to make sure people do know that you can put your questions in the chat if you're afraid you're going to forget them. No worries. But we also will be able to open that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit fast. This is normally a longer training, so I'm gonna talk a little bit fast so that we do have the time for the Q&A. And then I will try, let me actually pull the chat up to see if I can keep an eye on it at the same time as best I can, but I can't promise on that part. Hold on, let me just move my screen around. Oops, hold on. I am not yet a two-screen person, but I really should be. I really, really should be. So, okay. So I call this luxury no call expires or elevated expires. That's the name of the system I created for myself. And I really hadn't even put it into any kind of a program or training for people for years and years and years. One, I didn't have the bandwidth. And then two, during COVID times, at least here in Florida where I am, we weren't having any expireds, like 2020, 2021, even 2022. There were so few expireds that it didn't make any sense. But by 2024, expired started to come on the market. I was like, now's the time to really pull this together to show agents what I did so that they can maybe see if this is something that they'd like to do as well. So I am super obsessed with helping agents get more real out of their careers in real estate by learning how to sell less. What I mean by that is fewer transactions and earn more. So more money in your pocket so that you can get your life back. Because one of the things that we as agents, it's not scalable when you're doing a lot of smaller, lower price point or mid price point properties. You're going to hit a wall, and or you're going to give up a lot of your life, your health, your relationships to handle all of that. And so that's one reason, again, why I love listings, because they're so highly leveraged. I love luxury because you get more bang for your buck with every transaction that you close, and expireds because these have kind of worn themselves down a little bit from their original aspirational pricing, and they're getting a lot more realistic. One of my best friends, she was the original president when I joined Sotheby's in Miami. She always said it's better to be the first love, the second wife, and the third listing agent. And I always laughed about that. And I love being the third listing agent, or fourth for that matter. And it's funny, when I first started doing this, when I moved to St. Augustine, the broker at the time was like, well, they've expired for a reason. Like, he just poo-pooed them so much, like it was even stupid and not worth my time to go after them. And I was like, all right, we'll find out. And within 2 years, I outsold him. So this, and he had been in the business like 26 years, or in the area 26 years. So like Lisa said, save your questions. You can drop them in the chat. I don't know how much I'll be able to manage the chat, but I will at the end save 10, 15 minutes for you guys. But you are super in the right place for this training if you're a seasoned solo agent and you're just looking to raise your average price point. You don't have to sell all luxury, but let's say 25% of your properties were at a higher price point. You are going to give yourself a raise because you can do the same number of transactions, but you're going to have that much more gross commission income to take home. So super, super easy, and it's easy to do as a solo agent. It's also great if you're a team leader, because this is now something that you can start to generate open house opportunities for your team members, spin-off buyers for your team members, while you yourself work on doing fewer deals so you can support your team and raise not only price point, but raise the elevated perception of your team in the market. It's also great for you if you are seasoned and you want to slow down a little bit, because as you start to create these opportunities, you can start co-listing with other agents and have them be the boots on the ground person, because who wouldn't want to co-list a beautiful luxury listing with you? Nobody. They all want to. Believe me, they super want to. And then if you're new, either new to real estate, new to luxury real estate, or new to an area, this is also great because it kind of takes care of all the stuff we have in our head as a new agent, meaning they've already tried who they think is the big named agent. So they're not worried about our name brand in the area now. They're just serious and they're looking for solutions and who has the solutions to their problem. Also, because it's a mailing campaign, you warm the people up. You kind of let them know who you are by your mailing. So even if you're new, I just had one of my students get a listing opportunity for a $2 million listing and an $8 million listing from the same people, from one effort, and she's brand new. And I have another one recently. She's new and her cousin's not new. They're seasoned. They recently listed a $5 million oceanfront listing. So this system works for everybody, no matter where you are in your career. And I think that's always important to share, because a lot of people kind of get psyched out that they can't, but you can if you prepare yourself. The one thing is, the system is not a silver bullet. Nothing in real estate is a silver bullet. There is no, at least I have not found it, like the short, fast track. It takes time and it takes effort. Anything does, but it really is super, super efficient. It doesn't work if you're not self-motivated, because the system is mailing based. So you do have to motivate yourself to do the tasks that you need to do. It's fun. I love doing it, and anybody I work with loves doing it, but you have to be motivated and you have to be consistent. And I know a lot of us in real estate, myself included, we have ADHD, or we're kind of ADHD-like, where we get distracted a lot, we give up. We think if something's not working immediately, it's not going to work, so we stop. You've got to be consistent with this kind of system, just like with any kind of system and any kind of lead gen, you have to be consistent, but this specifically because it's mailing based. So no matter where you are in your career, are you ready to have luxury sellers calling you who are motivated and realistic? Absolutely. That's all I want. I just have like a rash breakout if I go on a listing appointment and I realize somebody is either unmotivated, unrealistic, or not nice. Like I don't want to list them. And I will subtly make sure that doesn't happen. I never decline somebody straight out. I don't want to be that person, but there's lots of ways we can subtly make sure that doesn't happen. Lots of ways. And are you ready to create a steady stream of inbound leads? Yes, it can be done. So expires are up, like I said, 40% year over year. This comes from, I think it's Keeping Current Matters that came out with this stat. You can look in your own MLS, but they are up incredibly because through 2022-ish, we still had people who were pricing from like the boom of 2021, 2022. By 2023, those listings often were still going. And it wasn't until last year that people started to be like, ooh, and they weren't selling like they were before. So it's a huge opportunity. And the one great thing with expireds is the people who prospect for expireds often aren't prospecting the higher priced ones because they are just going, and they're going after the average mid-price listings. So the competition is less and less. And they give up. They normally, people who are phone prospectors will normally be calling new expires every day for maybe that week, maybe 2 weeks. Our system is stretched out a lot longer, so you really warm up the seller to call you. And it wouldn't be great if they were calling you to list their house. I love when people call me and say, either the best possible is, just come over and list my house. I had one guy leave a voicemail and he said, you've worn me out. You've haggled me so much. Just come over and list my house. I thought he was going to tell me off. And he's like, just come over and list my house. Or at least they're like, hey, can you come do a listing presentation? I've been getting your materials. You look like you really get it. You look like you understand. You look like you do things differently. So those are kind of the spectrum of people. But I love it. It just, you've kind of had a pre-listing presentation with all your materials and your letters because each one, you're just touching on one pain point and one solution on each thing. So by the time they call you, especially if they've called you after receiving more pieces, they're already ready to go. Like, I'm sure there's things you all have purchased too that you've done all your research up front. So by the time you walk in the car dealership or the time you call to order something, you're ready to go. You don't need to have, that the salesperson really convincing you. So like I said, there's three main ways that people get expired listings of any price point: prospecting, which is phone based, mailing, which is what I focus on myself, and digital. But what I built and what I focus on is mailing based. The foundation of everything is mailing based. It can be prospecting. It can be digitally enhanced. It doesn't have to be. But I do have people that I work with who like to add calling on, but they call like 3 weeks later because the people have already now received several pieces, and they can say, hey, this is Janie Coffey. I was just calling to make sure you received my pieces of information. They were the ones in the, black envelopes with the silver writing. Did you receive those? It's a much warmer contact than just a cold contact. So like I said, I have a framework that consists of 3 pieces, and I'm going to share all of that with you right now. One is you have to have emotion inducing messaging. And what I mean by that is you have to show that you're empathetic and you understand the pain and the frustration. Because if they've expired, they have some level of pain and frustration. Either they were sick of keeping the home clean, or they lost out on a dream property, or they felt the person didn't market well, which they may or may not have, but that's how they feel. Then we have to show that we have the solution. And we, again, break that down little by little in our mailing, and that we do things differently. That's all they ever want to know. What do you do differently? What do you do differently? So our mailing campaign alone is an example of us. We do things differently because I can guarantee you nobody else is mailing them a nice, set of materials over an extended period of time. Myths are if you mail 1, 2, or 3 pieces of content, it's going to work. Normally, it never does. I'm always astounded when expired coaching people say, oh, I've got the magic letter. Well, I've been doing this a long time. And yes, you might hit a home run with a single letter every once in a while, but that's the anomaly and you can't bank on that because that's not what works. It's the consistency, time over task that really gets the people to call. There's no silver bullet message, just like when people ask if there's a special letter. And you can't have, in this day and age, you can't have generic scripted messages. People are really looking for authenticity so they feel they can trust us. They don't, we can all hear scripted messages immediately. As real estate agents, we get them, we get those calls all the time as well, right? When are you ready to list your house with a real person? Or, you've heard these things. That sounds horrible. So you can't have any of that. That's not going to work. It might work sometimes, just like a single letter might work sometimes, but that's the anomaly. That's not something you can build your business on. The next thing you need is world-class materials. Like your materials have to look nice. What you send has to look nice. Your listing presentation has to look nice. The materials that they are have to look and feel nice. We're dealing with people as we go up in price point that probably everything else in their life is nice. Their clothing is nice, their automobiles are nice, their home furnishings are nice. We have to meet them where they are and what they expect as far as somebody marketing their home. And your materials are an extension of you. They speak to you about who you are before you ever show up. A lot of people do try sometimes with expireds to do the same exact stuff that they do with a mid-price price point, and that normally lands very, very flat. How do I know? Because so many times I'm in a listing appointment and the seller will pull out what somebody else has sent them. And they're like, look at this. They think this is going to, woo me to list with them. No. So I know that they are looking at that. You do need to invest some in your materials. And what I mean by that is in your graphics, in quality cardstock, and everything just has to look nice. And you need to be mindful that your brand is consistent all throughout, from your materials to your yard sign, to your listing presentation, to your business cards. Everything has to be visually and aesthetically aligned. And then the final thing is you need a system, right? This sounds like a lot. You're like, how can I do that? With a system, excuse me, I've had a tickle all day. You need the system so that everything is just fail proof, it's bomb proof. That you don't have to be thinking, what do I need to do for Mr. Smith, or what do I need to do for Mr. Hassan, or this property over here. The system just tells you what to do every single day. And then ideally, what I did and what a lot of people I work with do, once they create their foundational system, then they create spin-off versions of it. So a system around their niche, or a system around expires that expired 2 years ago, a system around probate. The action plan and the system is the same. They just change up the messaging and the look. So it has a lot of legs. How does that phrase go? It has a lot of legs, so you can do a lot with it. You definitely can't wing it and do it on your own. It just won't work. So again, persistence is what wins expired listings, especially luxury, more than the content. It's just that. So of the people I put into my system, about 13% contact me. It's a little higher now. And that normally is a third, a third, a third. A third being I'm listing with somebody else, maybe the original agent. A third being I've decided not to sell right now. And a third being, come over, let's meet, or come list my house. And now I list about 5% of the people I put into my system, which is really, really good if you compare that to direct mail farming or internet leads or something like that, a 5% return rate. And because the list I'm mailing to is already very targeted, that 5% is even stronger than, say, direct mail farming, which is like the whole list of everybody. So in my area, about 60% of the expires actually end up relisting with the same agents, which is very high. And it's because in my MLS, if you as an agent forget to extend a listing, you can just go in and click a button and extend it. Where a lot of other MLSs, if your listing expires, you have to enter everything from scratch. So those agents are often much, much more mindful not to let something mistakenly expire in the system. But what I found is in my area, If they relist with the same agent, the average is about 23 days that they're off market, because that also takes in account all the people who take it off the market for a while to do repairs, to take a breather, different things like that, have people in town. But if they relist with a new agent, it's about 40, 43, 45 days, double almost. And that's because they're taking their time, they're interviewing people. And because of that, because I know I have, 45 days, that allows me to get my mailing pieces off to them. So again, it's that slow burn listing presentation, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit before they call. And their frustration, their irritation with the system, with agents, all those things is normally also really, really worn off by the time they're ready to relist. So you've got the time. You have to have all those three. You can't be missing any one of those critical pieces. You can't have great messaging and great materials and not have a system. You're just going to fall apart. You can't have a great system and great materials and have terrible messaging. You have to have all of that. So if you're going to create something for yourself based on these three things, make sure that you put focus on all those three things. Make sure you've got great emotion inducing messaging. Make sure you have world-class materials that feel good. They look good. They look good to the touch. And then make sure that you create a system that makes it kind of bomb-proof. So you might look like this, where you get, a listing one month, a listing another month, maybe none this month. You get one, then you go a couple months, no new listings. That's not a great place to be, because it's not feeling very consistent. Or worse yet, you're really inconsistent and you're just getting what's coming to you as far as opportunities. This is the worst place to be, because this is when agents, out of a scarcity feeling, will often take a listing that's unmotivated, unrealistic, or not nice. And that's why I said at the beginning, we don't want listings that are unmotivated, unrealistic, or not nice, because we only have 24 hours a day. Even if we work 20 of those hours, we only have 24 hours in a day. So if we are having to devote our time, money, effort, bandwidth, goodwill to unrealistic or unnice or unmotivated sellers, that's taking time away from A, finding the right sellers, and B, servicing and closing the right sellers. So I want you all, I encourage you to really think, how can you build a big enough funnel that you can very happily and with no stress, you know, be good about not taking a listing or not getting a listing. I'm always, when I hear people talk about listings in general, and they're like, oh, I list 90% of every listing I go on, or I list 95%. I'm like, ooh, that's terrible. That causes me so much stress, because I know I've got to filter through, even with expires, I've got to filter through to find the nice, realistic, and motivated people. So this is where we want you to be. Much of my time as an agent was spent before I kind of figured this out, especially when I was in Miami. Before I figured this out, I was like, where do I get these luxury leads? Like, I was selling much more average price point properties, and it just seemed so mythical or so unobtainable. And I was like, I'm not this uber luxury person. I don't drive an uber luxury car. I don't go to the club. I don't have this special bag, purse, shoes, whatever it is that we kind of think. Um, So I really kind of psyched myself out for a while, thinking that's just something I can't do. But then I started to think, why are these other agents, like when I'd meet them, I was like, why are they getting those leads? I'm a really good agent. Like, I'm a good agent. Why I just felt mystified. Then I was thinking, why can't I get nice leads? Why can't I get nice clients? Why can't I get motivated people? And I was thinking that's just how it was. Like, that's just how it was. And I didn't really realize that when I didn't control my lead flow, and I didn't control the types of leads that I was getting, that I needed to, out of scarcity, I ended up working with, you know, all the people I prefer not to work with sometimes. But that's when I kind of figured it out. So let's break it down. You've got to figure out where luxury is in your area. Um, I just say the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing says the top 10% of any market is the luxury. I actually think the top 10% is a little low. That break point is a little low. That's more like starter luxury, like golf courses, move up communities, things like that. I really think luxury kind of starts around the top 5% of your market, and then uber luxury is the top 1% of your market. So you need to look in your specific market to find out where that is. Um, You might be doing a lot of luxury already and realize and didn't realize you were, maybe even that move up. The next thing you need to do is figure out where they are geographically, because maybe you've been focused over here, but there's a good warm pocket of luxury properties, not that far away. Maybe they're in and around a niche or lifestyle that you already do. Like I love equestrian property, so I focus on them, or historic or waterfront. We use data to help mine and get through that. The next thing is, oops, sorry. What's your secret sauce? What makes you different? Are you really great with negotiations? Are you really great with people? Are you a great marketer? Like really figure out what is your secret sauce. So when they're asking you what you do differently, you can talk about what you do differently. If you're going to do luxury expireds, you've got to pick a tech stack, and a tech stack is going to be an expired data provider and a CRM. And you've got to pick two. I don't suggest any one over the other because you have to pick so it works with the rest of your tech. Oops. A couple expired data providers, you can get them from the MLS. That's going to make it very, very hard for you. The gold standard Cadillac of expired data providers is Vulcan 7. Redx is another good one. Mojo, Espresso Agent. There's a handful. There's at least probably 10 out there. So I would suggest to people to look at those different ones out there, compare their wins and their pros and cons, how it's going to work with the rest. If you're not going to be calling, you don't need to worry about this super duper triple dialer because you're not going to be using that. I would be, and if you're not going to be doing that, then you don't need to worry so much about the quality of the data. Some of these are considered better than others as far as good quality data. They're referring to phone numbers. So if you're going to be not going to be calling, you don't need to worry so much about the quality of the phone number data. The other thing you need to do is select a CRM that actually will let you make your custom action plans and mail individual letters that you can mail merge from an action plan. The CRMs that I know do that, Top Producer does that, Mojo does that, Realty Juggler does that, and I think Lofty does that. KV Core does not do that. Follow Up Bus does not do that. So you'd probably need a separate CRM just for your expireds. A lot of people do decide to do the bundle of Mojo for the data provider and the CRM. Then you need to create your messaging and your materials. We do about 6 postcards at least and about 6 letters at least. A big fat package on the first day. It's not a listing presentation. It's like a teaser where, you do your bio, what you provide. You don't put commissions in there. Think of it like Hansel and Gretel. It's breadcrumbs. And very few people are going to call you after the big fat package, but it is what gets in front of them in the first place. They're going to hold on to it, even if they relist with their existing agent. And it kind of sets the tone for everything else. And then if you can find their emails, then you can layer email messaging on top of that. And you're just going to copy what's in the letters in your postcards. You've got to wow them. You have to make things look really, really good. Like I said, your materials have to look good. Just everything that you send out has to feel like, wow, that's great. That's different. You've got to stand out. Your first day is your most important. Like I said, that's when your big fat package went out. I actually got a call from a lady. She had already decided to list with somebody else before she ever expired, so there wasn't an opportunity for me. But she actually called and said, I just had to call you. I've never received anything as nice and impressive as the package you sent. I have another client in our program who's doing it. She had somebody call and say, hey, I'm not relisting right now, but I just had to call and tell you what you sent over is amazing. It looks so good. Those are 2 people that they're not going to list with us, but they might tell somebody else about listing with us because we've set such an amazing tone that looks different. I had somebody else I work with at the post office putting some packages in the mail, and somebody at the mailbox or the post office line just turned around and said, wow, like I would open up that package. So you've got to wow them. That is super, super important with this mailing system. And then the final step is, of course, creating your system, your action plan, putting it together, launching it, and then you can tweak it. You can tweak your messaging, you can tweak your timing, you can tweak your materials. We're not wedded to any system. You're not buying like a big number of anything. Everything can be tweaked. So this is just an example of my system. I have roughly 40 touch points in my own personal action plan. The reason I say my own personal is I encourage people to make a system that works for them, works for their market, works for the people they're trying to reach. So always a big fat package, but then I alternate letter, postcard, letter, postcard. In mine, I do every day almost for 2 weeks. I've actually stretched that out. It's not quite 2 weeks anymore. Then every 3 days, then every 7 days, and every 21 days. And then when they graduate from the program, if they haven't listed or call me, they just go into a regular just listed, just sold bi-monthly. Hey, look at what I've listed, look at what I've sold, because I'm going to continue to nurture them until they eventually sell with somebody else, give it away, or call me to list. Like they're never leaving my thing. So this is a sample of just out of my own top producer, what I use as top producer. But again, this is completely broker agnostic. And it just walks you through. It's making the donuts. You wake up, once you've created your system, which takes about 6 weeks, maybe 4 if you're really ambitious. But then every day it just tells you what to do, like CRMs. It just says, send these postcards to so and so. With the letters, it actually merges the letters with the people who are supposed to get. So all I have to do is print a big PDF, sign them all, and put them in envelopes. Everything I send out for sure is hand addressed in a colored envelope that's on brand to me with a real stamp, not a Liberty Bell generic stamp, but one of the nice stamps. They don't cost any different if you get the flowers or the rivers or the jazz bands. But when people receive that over and over and over versus just a white envelope with a printed off address and a generic stamp, the feeling is entirely different. So again, your main three pieces, if you're going to create your own system, great messaging that shows that you understand their frustration, what you do differently, and that you have solutions. You're going to help take this stress off their plate. You're going to have world-class material so that you show that you're different and you really understand luxury and you are luxury. And then you have a system that just makes it almost kind of plug and play, at least in telling you what to do. So you've got your CRM, you've got your data provider. And then the magic really is, hold on one sec. Sorry, guys. Haven't been able to kill this cough. The magic is simply the daily process. Going through the new expires every day, making sure they're in your CRM or moving them to your CRM, assigning the action plan. And what I mean by that is you might have your foundational action plan, or you might have your niche action plan, or you might have a probate action plan or an older expired action plan, but you're going to assign the right action plan. And then you're just going to process your daily to-dos. That's it. It's going to tell you what to do. And you just go click, 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 click. Yes, 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 yes. On a low day, you might be looking at 10, 15, 20 minutes in the morning to do. On a more heavy day, you might have 30 to 60 minutes. And then on the first of the month and the first of the year, there's always a lot more because a lot of people have their listings expire the last day of the month. So it's not a huge time commitment every single day once you set up your program. So you just in the consistency, just like if you eat right, if you go to the gym, you know that in the consistency of doing this, you're doing what you need to do to generate these listing opportunities. It often takes a few months of doing it, tweaking it, getting it right before it starts to convert into listing opportunities. But once you start to do it, and once you do it, it's like a flywheel and it just goes and goes. And as long as you don't stop and as long as you keep feeding it, it will continue to give you opportunities. And the amazing thing with expired luxury listings, especially unique ones, is they themselves often spin off more opportunities because you become known as that's the person who sold the house that 2 other people didn't sell. That's the person who sold the house that 3 other people didn't sell. And often in these higher price points, the sellers, when they're selling, they often have multiple properties. It's just, and they're moving somewhere else a lot of the time. So that it's not just one opportunity, it's another. So it becomes this huge flywheel, like this avalanche that starts to give you more and more opportunities. These are all pictures of listings that I listed in downtown historic St. Augustine that were expired listings. And 3 of the 4 of these are in the list, not my list, but the list of the 10 most significant historic properties in historic downtown St. Augustine. 3 of these are of that list of 10, and I probably maybe have listed 4, maybe 5, I'm not sure, of the top 10 most significant historic properties from expireds. They tried somebody else, it didn't work, and then they ended up coming to me. So as a recap, and then we'll take your questions in just about 5 minutes max, I'll be done. I'm going to show you, or do your research, just do your research, find out where's luxury in your area, top 10%, top 5%, top 1%, what is that price point? And then look at the map view to see kind of where those bubbles of properties are showing up. So you get an idea of what is luxury and where are they in your area. You're going to refine your messaging and materials to show that you understand they're frustrated, show that you do something different and that you have a solution. You're going to select your tech stack, your CRM tech stack, and your CRM and your expired data provider. You're going to make sure that they work together. Then you're going to launch your program. Like I said, that takes about 4 to 6 weeks to put all that together, maybe 4. Maybe you could do it in a shorter time frame if you just like powered through. You're going to launch your thing, and then every day you're just going to process them. And in time, you will start to figure out, oh, I need a few more letters, or I want to change the messaging, or this person called and they didn't get what I was saying. And so you just tweak it and change, and then you just keep going, going, going. Like I said, becomes like an avalanche. This approach is not for you if you are very limited on resources. And what I mean by that, it does take some time to put together. And then it takes time, 10 to 30, 45 minutes a day to deploy. So you have to have some time. You have to have some bandwidth where you can actually slow down, especially in the beginning. I make it an analogy. It's like when you build your website, you need some time set aside to build your website. So with this system, you need some time to set aside to build your expired Legion system. And then it takes some bandwidth just to, process on a daily basis, but then it's super easy. I'm normally listening to a podcast when I'm doing that. And then it does take some level of finances on a monthly basis. People I know who are doing it kind of in an economy sort of way, they can run their system for a few $100s a month. That covers their tech, that covers their stamps, their ink, their materials, and things like that. And then I know of people who get the Mac Daddy tech stack and the Mac Daddy materials, and they're sending to more, and they might be at $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 a month. But people are spending that much all day, every day with Zillow leads and Ylopo leads and all this. And those are for online leads and often for regular priced properties. Wouldn't you rather spend that money generating a presence for you where you become the go-to person in a specific area or a specific niche on the listing side? This is, in my opinion, absolutely the best money and time that you can put into generating your own leads. It's just so efficient. It's wildly efficient once you get it going. But it is not a silver bullet, meaning there's no one letter. It's not going to work with a certain message or something. It's the system. It's the consistency and the persistence. So you have all the pieces. I shared with you exactly what you need to do. You can 100% watch this video again. I know Lisa's going to send it out to you, and you can figure out just by looking at this video how to put this together for yourself. You can create your messaging, you can get your materials, and you can create your system. If, like I said, if you would decide you needed a little more help, I have 2 solutions for you. One is a self-study version, where you get access to all the training that, like I said, you can pound through and do it as fast as 3 or 4 weeks to create your system, or if you're take your time a little more, maybe 6 or 8 weeks to put it together, kind of like building a website, but then you have access to that. Or we have a mastermind version where we have the foundational training, just like I talked about here, but then we have specialty topics all around luxury every single week. And we have a mastermind kind of open office sharing best practices, things with each other as well. Those are the two options. You can just scan either one of those codes. And because Lisa is such a great person for you, we also created a coupon discount code, and you can get 30% off of either one of those options. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and perfectly on time. We've left 15 minutes for a Q&A. You can ask me about the system. You can ask me about luxury in general, or you can ask me about the program if that's something of interest. This is not a sales pitch. I'd love to have you join us, but I also just want to give you great tactical help resources on anything around. Like I said, I'm kind of specialized around luxury listings. That's my gig. That's what I train on the most. That's what I do the most. So I'm here to help you or answer questions on any of those things. So
Well, first of all, Jeannie, I took 3 pages of notes, even though I've worked with you for years.
yeah.
I think one of the things that you said initially, which I just love so much, is that we all have shiny, many of us have bits and pieces of the shiny object syndrome, where it just looks like there might be this great, easy thing we can just sign up for now. And listen, when we're starting to make money, we'll pay a lot of money for that thing if you just can do it for me, right? So
Right.
I just love the fact that you said, listen, there's no silver bullets. You need to put in the work. And there was some work to that. I mean, some of it's kind of fun, figure out, but then others of it, there is some expense involved, and
Yeah.
there is some thought about what you want to say. And I love that you offer a couple different options for your guidance, because that I'll ask ChatGPT, but then that sounds canned, right? That's not as authentic as I need it to sound. So there's so much of this that is hard work, but we can do hard things, and it's not that hard, but I just mean it's not that silver bullet, but you've given us an amazing roadmap today. I mean, I have a million questions, but I want to make sure we open up to the floor.
I'll answer the few in the chat, and then I will answer a few things
Okay.
you said just there. And then, like I
Sure.
said, happy to answer questions. So Louise asked, is it all price points that are up 40% year over year from keeping current matters? Yes, I believe all expires, all price points are up 40% year over year. Donna asked, if you're co-listing with another agent, what percentage do you compensate them? It totally depends on what I need from them. So if I just need them to be the boots on the ground, because as you go up in price point, there's always a break point in every area where you are going to be expected to be at the property to accompany the buyer's agent. So if that's what I need from them, and that's all I need from them, maybe 25, 35%. If we are truly coming together and going to do this together, we're going to share the expenses of the listing, marketing, we're going to share the expenses of the TC and the admin. Maybe we do it 50-50. I consider what I'm bringing to the table at least 25 to 35% of the whole pie, meaning I'm bringing a very motivated, realistic seller because of all my hard work. But there's the listing and marketing aspect of it. There's the showing and the updating aspect of it. So it's going to be on a scale of what they're getting from 25 to 50%, depending on what they're doing and how we're splitting the expenses of the marketing. What is the convenience of Vulcan versus MLS? Oh, great question, Deborah. So it's really, really hard to try to run a high level expired system, even if it's prospecting based. Let me just shut this down here. Even if it's prospecting based without an expired data provider, because they are putting all the expireds together every single day. They're normally pulling right within the system what's the owner's address, what's their potential email, what's potentially their phone number. You can sort by different things. So I sort by, I'm going after historic properties normally. You can sort by price point, and then it's telling you who has relisted. So it makes it very easy all within one system to handle all of that. It would be very, very hard, super hard to do it just from the MLS. Like I personally wouldn't even do it. And I love expired listings, but I wouldn't do it from the MLS. So to your point, Lisa, I use, when I first got into expireds, years and years and years ago. Any old school people maybe remember Barino. He was like the godfather of expireds. Um, Real estate in general, everything was a lot more canned back then. We had canned scripts, we had canned messaging, but it's all evolved since then. So I do use Chat GPT to help in the program. Like if anybody's interested in the program, I actually provide some AI prompts to give them some prompts to make messaging hit on the pain points, but then sound unique and special to them. Because we want it to sound like the way you talk about, um, you know, beautiful Cape Cod and the way I talk about historic St. Augustine with my voice, with your voice, it sounds different. And we want everything that people get, and why my conversion rate is so high, is everything sounds really authentic and custom to me, my area, and things like that. So we do use Chat GPT. We also, in the mastermind version, not in the self-study version, we had somebody do an amazing AI training for us where you can back in the buyer, the most likely buyer person, who they are, what their needs, what's going to resonate with them, and then tell you. So when you go on a listing presentation, you can even be talking about that to the seller, and wow, does that sound impressive. But yeah, so we use all the tools available to us, Chat GPT included, but we do it in a way that it doesn't sound canned.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to make a couple, just wanted to reiterate a couple of points that you made because I think some of them are so profound. One of them is what a relief it is, and to feel some confidence in the fact that the big gun already didn't get the job done. So we're stepping in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that, especially, depending on what brokerage you're with. That can be a speed bump for folks. We know that it's not the brokerage. We know it's the agent. I don't care if you're with whatever. But there is some hesitation when you're dealing with a new price range. Maybe you're at 1 or 2 million and you're suddenly thinking about like 5 or 6, and then maybe there's like a 10. I mean, you kind of get like woohoo, a little overwhelmed, as you're moving through those levels. But knowing that the big gun already didn't get it done and that you can come in authentically and talk about what you're offering, I think is just an amazing point. I mean, seriously, like that just really gave me
I
instant
love that
confidence.
because we psych ourselves out so much about the myth of the dominant agent.
Mhm.
And why I say it's a myth is all areas have somebody that everybody thinks is the dominant agent. And we psych ourselves out. But when you look in the MLS, I promise you, when you go in the MLS and sort by closed sales and sort alphabetically, it is very unlikely they have more than 10% of the closed listings. It is almost really unlikely that they have more than 20% of the closed listings. And guess what? Everybody else after them, it's normally in onesies and twosies, which means 80, 90, even 70%, let's say 70% is wide open to everybody. So that's just in general for listings, but it's more important in expireds because now we're not worried that we're going up competing against that well-known person or entity or agent. We know they didn't get it done and now they don't want to work with them again.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it just makes it so much better and so much sweeter when you get the listing and sell it. And that's
absolutely.
what I say. This is a system that can snowball like an avalanche, your presence in an area, your reputation in an area, because as you go up in price point, people are watching those listings. And when they expire and you come around and you're the ones that actually successfully sell them, like you just went from me, again, I went from nobody in my market um, to being number 9 in 2 years. I would never have been able to do that just listings, just luxury, or just expireds. It had to be those three things combined as a brand new person and like super magic.
Yeah, yeah. So I was overwhelmed when you said that the first 14 days you do something every single day, a mailing every single day. That's unusual. That's definitely going to stand a point. And you're right. Someone's going to go, okay, I surrender. Janie, please stop sending me stuff. Oh, but no matter what, you're at their doorstep every single day or somewhere in their mailbox every single day. And that's very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, and some of those could be sprinkled in with emails depending on how you do it. But the thing is, in the first 6 weeks, they are going to receive at least 12, 13, 15 things in the mail
Yeah.
from you. And that's what works.
Yeah.
That's what works. That's why I love it when they call me. The if they call after getting one or two pieces, they're normally still aggressive. They're still frustrated. They're still angry. And they're normally interviewing multiple agents. If they call me at about 10, 12, 15 pieces, um, they've warmed up, they've softened, they might be interviewing one other person. If they call me after like 20 pieces, they're like, just come over here, tell me what to do, how much do you charge? I'm ready, let's go. So that's why I love this mailing because it's funny. I will train and teach. I'll get on a stage with a couple thousand people, but cold calling, I cannot do it. Like I've tried it. It just,
I'm there with you on that
it's not in
100%.
my DNA.
Yeah, yeah, I do not. I have one more question, but how about is anybody out there got other questions that you guys want to just
Susan
read?
raised her
It looks
hand.
like
I
Susan. Come on in,
did.
Susan.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not too far away from you, Lisa. I'm in Wareham, so I'm
Oh, nice.
just on the outside the Cape.
All
Um,
right.
I just wanted to ask, so how many people are you reaching out to typically on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I actually pulled those stats recently because one of my students was getting a little frustrated, and they're like, "Oh, it's not working, it's not working." I was like, "Listen, if you start a website, if you start a YouTube channel, if you start blogging, if you start whatever, how long is it going to take you before you're going to expect it for it to work?" And then they're like, "Well, of course." Or if you start direct mail farming, 6, 9, 12 months. I was like, okay, this is going to happen before that. But
Yeah.
we also have to make sure you're mailing to enough people and tweak your message. So I did that. I was mailing, um, and the reason I say was is I'm retooling my whole system right now, to be fresh. So everything is paused, but ongoing, on average, about 20 to 30 a month
Okay.
start my program. And the reason I say start my program is like you saw, about 60% in my market end up relisting with the same agent. So not everybody makes it through all those pieces. So 20 to 30 start on a monthly basis, which equals about 1 to 3 per day, Monday through Friday. And then it equals a little more, maybe 5 or even 10 on the first of the month. And that's how I get to the 20 or 30.
Okay.
That alone is enough to create a healthy, once the messaging is tweaked and once everything is tweaked out, that alone can be your core foundation of your whole lead gen. Um,
Okay.
Other people have tried to do sometimes a too small area and they're not getting enough. And that's why I said you need to expand your geographic area possibly to get more opportunities. And that's when you can start to co-list with agents who are maybe 45 minutes away, maybe an hour away. Maybe you go in the listing presentation together, you say we're partners, but they're the boots on the ground. I did try to go lower in price point down to even like average price point listings. That didn't convert nearly as well for me because they normally just relisted so fast that
Mhm.
there wasn't enough time for them to get the mailings.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just joined EXP like literally a week ago, and EXP Luxury like 2 days
Awesome.
ago.
Oh,
Um,
welcome,
I
welcome.
thank you. I started with the Krista Mayshore program, the mastery program back in July. Um, had my license since 2016, got out of it, got back into it, yada, yada, yada. So this is a great time for me because I am rebranding absolutely everything. I've done a lot to do, like, establish my presence and get out there with videos and all of those things, but now I'm at a pivot where I want to, I've decided I want to focus on the luxury. So this whole program seems right in line with kind of my direction and what my focus is. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, and what
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. What I did, like I said, I'm with EXP's luxury division as well. I blended my own personal brand or my team's brand and aesthetic that it can very seamlessly blend with the EXP luxury. So similar fonts, similar colors, similar look and feel, so that I can plug and play a lot of what they have to offer into that system easily.
That's beautiful. This is my box and I just had to
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah,
rebrand. it's not fancy. This is not the luxury look that I was going for, but this is again a learning experience. So
That's a tweak, 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 tweak. I
yeah,
actually, in my training, I have a little gif of a little bird like twerking. And I was like, it's not twerking, it's tweaking because none of this is overcommitted to anything because you can change your messaging. You're normally never ordering more than 25 or 50 postcards at any given time. So,
that's amazing.
yeah,
That's so digestible. It's so doable,
very
right? Like,
digestible and it's you can pivot very
yeah.
easily. And Lisa, when you said it seems overwhelming, the 14 pieces in 14 days, or it's really not because once you create the system, and if you're only adding one, two, or three a day, on a daily basis, you might have like 4 letters to send out, let's say 3 to 5 postcards, 1 or 2 big fat packages. And the system, your CRM, is going to be telling you what to do, and it does a lot for you. So it becomes very easy. Like I said, you can just put your headphones on and listen to a podcast while you're doing it, and you can be done with it in 10, 15, 20 minutes on average. But then you've done it. Like you've started your day knowing you've done something significant
Mhm.
to help you generate a constant flow of listing opportunities.
Absolutely. Deborah put in the chat, is your first package enclosed in a post office or UPS mailer box or bag? I can't
Yep.
imagine people opening a package that they did not order or request.
Yep. That's a great question. I just do the black. So my brand colors are black. Um, so mine is just, it's not so huge that it can't fit in the envelope that's a little bit larger than 8. So my package is in a 8.5 by
9 by
11
12. Yes.
folder, 9 by 12
9 by
folder.
12 is the
So
envelope.
then the envelope is a little larger than that. And it's hand addressed to them. It looks nice and people open it. I have tried FedExing it. It didn't increase the turnaround at all. I tried priority mailing it. It didn't increase the conversion at all. I
Interesting.
even tried Ubering it. I've tried sending flowers from the florist with it. None of that increased the conversion. And part of that is it's just the time of them getting things versus what they get on the very first day.
Got it. Got it. So can you, I mean, quickly, can you just give us a general sense of what's in that big package?
Mhm. Like I said, it's kind of like a breadcrumbs to get them to call you. So I don't give away everything, but I have a bio. I have a little bit about me and my brokerage and the kind of coverage that we can offer. I have what I call a menu of commissions in there too, where I show them 3 tiers of a listing plan. I don't say what those listing commissions cost. I just
Nice.
have 3 options for you depending on what you're looking for. And in the first column would be kind of like, if you bought a car, you can buy like the basic version, the normal version, and the loaded version. Um, a lot of people, when they list properties, do the basic version of listings, right? They have a yard sign, they take normal photos, they put it in the MLS, they might do a little stuff. So I put all of that for my basic version. But then in the commission that I want to charge, I put all the things that I do: video, drone, aerials, twilights, print advertising, luxury listing distribution to the Wall Street Journal, blah, blah. That's on that middle column. And then on the far right column, I add some like really big things that the whole reason I have that far right column is if they want everything in the middle column, but they want to pay what the budget version would be. As I can't do that for that, but what I will do is I'll pull in 1 or 2 things from the big version, and I call it like the Lux Premium and Lux Reserve plans. So I have that. That takes a few pages, and I pull everything available to me from my brokerage, everything available to me through my board and what they offer, because a lot of times agents don't know how many things are available through their brokerage or board. That's very impressive. So they don't even talk about and share that. So that's in there for me because I have a lot of success stories of luxury expires. I have that in there as well, case studies. But the whole thing is I don't want to give away so much
Of
that they
course.
self-eliminate
Don't call
themselves.
you. Yeah.
And I don't want to give away so much that I don't have more wow factor in the listing appointment.
Yeah. And I think also just to note, and I know you train on this as well, if you're newer to this market, if you are more of an aspirational luxury agent, you talk about your team, the successes of your team. I could use some successes of Janie's in Florida. Like, okay, I mean, obviously with permission, but you want to be able to lean into that. Don't feel like you can't do that because you don't have any yet. Lean into your team, lean into your brokerage, lean into, something into our luxury division, for sure.
When I moved to Northeast Florida and I had this big goal of being within the top 10 in the MLS within 3 years, everybody laughed. Everybody laughed, including my owner broker. They made fun of me, everything I was printing off because they could see what I was printing for my expireds because we shared a big printer. Like the coffee team, blah, you're like, who's that? That's you. How can you call yourself a team? Like they just made fun, they made fun. But it helped because I could then talk in we's and us's, right? We's and us's. And that's why it's great if you're going to expand your area geographically, you can talk about we and us. Like I have a person here, I live about 20 minutes west of downtown historic St. Augustine. I live in farm country. So if I'm going to do a equestrian property, I can talk we and us, and I have somebody out here that can be the boots on the ground. If I'm going to list something downtown St. Augustine, I have somebody there. If I'm going to list out at the ocean, at the beach, I have somebody there. So that's why, yes, talk about we and us.
That's for sure.
People are always so psyched out. Oh, they're going to wonder what I've sold before or blah, blah, blah. If you have mailed them so many things that each one hits, they don't even think to ask you that.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you that if what you mail doesn't look good. They
Mhm.
probably won't call you, first of all. Or you get there and you seem kind of nervous and like, ugh, then they might ask you that stuff. But if you walk in with confidence and ease, they just don't ask you that stuff. And then the other thing is you can always co-list with somebody, co-promote yourself. I had a guy in a different brokerage even in Florida call because he had a luxury equestrian listing opportunity expired. And he called, he went on the listing presentation. The guy loved everything he had to offer, but he didn't have the equestrian background. So he said, my partner does. She knows how to properly market equestrian properties. And so then we just did a joint listing presentation. We built the benefit of two brokerages. We can do that in Florida with my brokerage. Not all brokerages allow that, but we can in Florida. And it was his broker who suggested he call me. So we made a beautiful joint package. So just think outside the box. And then that guy was ecstatic because he's like, this will help me land this property and help me get my name out there. Because I don't care. Put your name on the sign. I don't care. It's like hours sell to me. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. We are over time. It's
okay.
107. Thank you so much, everybody. Could
Okay.
you, Janie, would you put up the QR codes again?
Oh yeah. Let me
People can
share
have
them.
access, and we will send that around as well.
Yeah.
And I know somebody definitely asked for if we would be able to distribute the slides or share the slides. I
Oh
don't know
sure.
what's available for that, but if you do, that would be amazing, or even just some of them, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah. Let me hold on. Look the QR codes.
Yeah, and maybe the links, if Raymar can get those links, he could put them in the chat
Yeah,
also.
I'll send you the
But we
links.
will send that out in a recap email for sure for everyone who did attend.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys got value. I sure did. I've got my 3 pages of notes here, like I'm not even kidding. And I think that, and your head's kind of in the way of one of them,
Oh,
Jeannie.
yep.
That's why, yeah, I saw it
And
from before
and the
that.
people, if you end up doing, so the left one, like I said, that's the self-study version where you have access for um sorry for like 7 months to the foundational training. Um, but it doesn't have the live component. It doesn't have the live community, the mastermind, the bonus sessions where we meet twice a week ongoing. The mastermind session has the foundational training, but then we have a different topic, luxury adjacent every week, as well as masterminds where we help critique each other's materials, give ideas, give pep talks, give encouragement. Uh, and we have agents from every brokerage possible. We have a ton of Sotheby's agents, Compass agents, Ingle Volkers agents, Coldwell Banker agents, all of that. So everything trained in here is also broker agnostic, just like your podcast.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate you, Janie. You are
Welcome.
always sharing so much value, and all of the work that you do for our brokerage, certainly, but all the work that you do for all agents is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time and
you.
talent.
I'll send you out this info.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we look forward to having you as guests on the next Lifting Others as We Rise Mastermind.
Thank you so much.